Hi, and welcome back to my Databot channel. Today, I'm going to show you how to make this cable so that you can add external sensors to your Databot. The Databots actually can talk to other sensors using IC² communication protocol. You don't need to know how that works. It's all built in, but you can buy these at SparkFun. This is the UV sensor, and this is the soil and moisture sensor. And what's great about it is that you can just plug in, you can have one cable and plug in different sensors for whatever you're looking to measure. And of course, it just goes in the top right port of your Databot. All right, let's get started, and I'll show you how to make this cord. All right, to get started, what you're going to need first is a USB to micro USB cable, and when you're looking for this, you need to make sure that it also has data transfer capability. If you go online, you can find USB cords, but they will only be a charging cord, and so they only have 2 wires in them. You need the kind of cable that actually has 4 wires inside of it. So yeah, double check that when you're ordering. I will put a link, of course, to this exact cable where I got it on Amazon. You will also need, from SparkFun, they sell Qwiic cable connects. They're for their Qwiic sensors, and that's spelled, let's see, Qwiic, and that is kind of I think a play on the I2C protocols. So you're gonna need that. You're going to need a way to cut the wire and strip the wire. So there's a wire stripper. You're going to need some heat shrink tubing. I have some, I believe this is 15 gauge, and I believe that's 22 gauge heat shrink tubing. I like to use a lighter to shrink that tubing. I'm also going to use some handy scissors on my little pocket knife. Let's see, a soldering iron, and some solder. Okay, let's start our process with cutting this wire, the USB to micro USB wire. Get this undone. And this is a fairly long cord. I'm only going to use half of this cord because I don't really like too long of a cord going to my Databot, so I'm just going to go ahead and clip that wire. And I'm going to save the USB part for later, or a future maybe cool project. I don't know. Save it for later. And here's the part we want. This is the micro USB end, and the part that will go to the Databot. So let's see, I go about 1.5 inches for this, and I strip the wire carefully so that we don't cut any of the internal wires of the Databot, of the wire. There's a shielding on the outside. This is just to protect the signals to and from the Databot and the computer, or whatever it's talking to. So we need to cut that off. And there's an inner shielding. Usually just tear that off, but I think I'll just cut it. Okay, and there's your 4 wires. So there's your positive, your ground. The white wire is the clock, and I believe that's the data. And there's a little bit of nylon rope for strength. I'm just going to burn that down a little bit so I don't have to deal with it. Okay. So the black and the red wires are fairly easy to strip with my wire stripper. They're a little small for what I've got here. I forgot my better wire strippers at my school. but that's what you're going for. About 1/8 of an inch is what I'm stripping off here. There's the black, the ground, and then the positive side. And then these are the tricky ones. For this wire stripper, I don't have the right size. So the way I'm working around it is I just strip both of them at once. And most of the time, if I'm careful, I can get them so that they're about the same width or the length strip. Let's see if I can get it. Of course, on camera, it's being naughty, but we'll try that again. And there we go. And if you look, you've got all 4 wires stripped. All right, the next wire we're going to strip is the Qwiic cable. And this is so that you can put multiple sensors together and actually, I think, like daisy chain them together or check multiple sensors. We're not going to use that feature for today, so or do that. We're going to prep it for just one way to connect to the Databot. So again, I just go in half, so I can use the other half for a future project. Put that aside, and then I untwist this cable a little bit, and you'll see we have 4 wires as well. Red eventually will go to red. Black will go to black. The white on the USB will go to the yellow, and green on the USB cable will go to the blue of the Qwiic. Okay, and again, these are so soft you can actually strip them with your fingers, and I'm going to go ahead and do that just to kind of show you you can do things without a tool for everything. And again, I'm just going about 1/8 of an inch. That's a little more maybe. And there we go. And then before I ever forget, I always do this. I always forget to put the heat shrink on, so I do that straight away. So the heat shrink is going to insulate the wire so that we don't have shorts between the connections. So here I'm going to put the heat shrink tube on. Before I do anything else, I don't forget. And I go ahead and pull it down a little ways away from where I'm soldering so that the heat from the soldering iron doesn't cause issues with the heat. When I'm soldering the wire, it doesn't heat up the heat shrink and shrink it on there. Done that before too. Come on. Trying to do this without my reading glasses is always fun. There we go. You don't have to get special colored heat shrink tubing. I just thought I'd keep it clean and neat for this one. Oh, come on. There we go. I don't have my reading glasses on, so might have to go get those next. There we go. Okay, so there we go. This now is all ready and ready for some solder. I like to solder tin these wires before I solder them to the next. It just makes it easier to do the connection. So that'll be the next video. All right, the next step is to tin the wires. A little solder on each one. Actually did this a little bit already. Started it and forgot to hit record, so there you go. And I'll do it on this side too. Right now I've got the helping hands holding it. That's one thing I forgot to mention in the beginning. It's a handy little tool when you're soldering. There we go. Nice amount of solder on each wire. All right, so now this is the trickiest part, is getting these wires to line up enough to actually solder them together. That's why the helping hand is so handy. So let's see if I can get the black wires lined up halfway decent. And part of the nice thing about tinning the wires is it kind of helps you attach them. Oop. There we go. Let it cool and done. So black to black. I'll do another one. Let's go red to red. Again, the helping hand is very useful. See if I can get this to set straight. There we go. And touch her. Nice. Good. Then it's white goes to yellow on this one. Well, blue's already up and ready to go, so let's go with blue. Again, this is kind of finicky work here, trying to get these wires lined up. I may drop these reds out of the... There we go. There's the blue. And blue goes to green, as like I said. Just see if I can get that to stay. There we go. I have to hold that one. And touch it. That is not a pretty joint, but I think it'll work for what we're doing. And then our white to yellow. There we go. And nice, they're all soldered together. That's handy. So our next step is to slide the heat shrink down over our solder, our connections. I'm trying to do this behind the camera. It's kind of tricky, so pardon me for slow. Black. And our last one is red. Okay. Then take your lighter and you can heat shrink it carefully. This is not something I'd let kids do, or you could get a heat gun if you wanted. I just don't have one, so here at home. All right. Those are all connected. And now you'll see where the bigger gauge heat shrink comes in. That goes over the top and heat shrink that. Nice. And then I like to twist the cord back up a little bit. Just that's the way it came, so I figure that maybe helps with some strength. I don't know. Let me go a little more on that. It's a little loose still. There we go. And for what we're doing, that's going to be fine. All right, the last thing to do is to check to make sure the sensor is working, or the wire is working with our sensor. So here you can see I have a Databot with the cord we just made plugged into the top right port. I'm going to turn that on, and we should be able to see our soil moisture sensor turn on. Now in Visi, I've already loaded all the basic sensors, but I want to add an external sensor. So if you go here and click the plus button, there's Add Experiment by Link. This is kind of new, actually. Databot just added this feature, so it's kind of great. You can go in and add your experiments without having to have a QR code. Kind of used to have to do it that way. So you just scroll down, find your basic experiments, and then if you look down, you'll find one called External Sensor Experiments. Click on that, come down to the little link here, and if you click on this link, it'll load your UVA saved collection. So that's my UV. Oops. And let's go, I don't think it got the soil, so let's go make sure. Yeah, let's add our soil next. I must have clicked on the UV, which is good. We'll use that one too, but again, click on that, go down, and then we'll find the external sensor. And there's the soil moisture. And save. And now we can go check it and see if it's actually working. So there I am in the soil moisture. I'll hit start, and we're graphing. And I'm just gonna use my hand as a moisture. And as you see, my hands are a little bit wet, or moist. And so you can see I'm actually measuring real-time data from my moisture sensor. And let's go check our UV as well. And I'm going to turn the Databot off to check to swap this port. Oops, I didn't need to take that off. Swap the sensor. I don't know if you have to, but it's a good practice to turn off devices before you. There we go. And then we'll turn it back on, our Databot. Our UV sensor came on. And we'll go find our UV index. And you can see, yep, we're collecting UVA, UVB, and UVC data. Yeah, so we're blocking some of the light on that sensor. I'm down in a basement, so I don't have any actual natural light to be able to go measure, but yeah, our sensor seems to be working, our cord seems to be working, so good job.